John Rosmundo, Afghanistan would also like to see more of their goods get access to the Indian market, Indian assistance in healthcare, in infrastructure development, energy requirements in Afghanistan is what we are being told. But do you see a wider impact of this, and especially in Afghanistan, ensuring that its territory is not used as strategic depth, especially at a time when Pakistan's ISI is getting Lashkar-e-Taiba and Al-qaeda to operate with Islamic State Khorasan to target the Taliban?
Well, the thing is that if you look closely, the Taliban, like I said before, is operating Al-Qaeda camps, and actually it works pretty closely with ISIS-K, I mean, in Afghanistan. So I think that, the Taliban wants infrastructure. It needs it after, decades of war. However, whether or not it can succeed in being a partner with India remains to be seen.
Okay. Ambassador Sood, there are those who say that India should look at the bigger picture, including how Taliban treat their own people, how they treat minorities, how they treat women. Should that be a part of India's engagement, or let them handle their own internal affairs? And should India's assistance, if at all, come with strings attached, including how they treat minorities and women?
I think we have never made human rights and issues like that as part of foreign policy conditionalities. It is certainly significant that if 50% of the population of Afghanistan doesn't have rights, cannot work, cannot be educated, then clearly it is a hurdle in Afghanistan's own development. So I think perhaps this is something that we can talk about. We can provide them with examples from India about women's empowerment and all the rest of it. But I doubt very much if this is something that we are going to take and make this a conditionality, as some Western countries tend to do, but then forget it when it suits their interests.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. General Sani, in the light of Taliban's recent condemnation of Pakistan's state-sponsored terror in India, including the Pahalgam attack and that Moscow format, the opposition to US Bagram base, does that help India's counter-terrorism strategy? Does that help isolate terrorist groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-mohammad and Pakistan's ISI?
Exactly, it does. And as I think the ambassador has said and the other two panelists have said, I think we have got a lot of the way we are tackling, the way we are engaging with Taliban, we are not going overboard, and we are doing it in a very systematic fashion. And all these points you have said will keep coming. But we should and we will refrain from quantification, because their internal policies are something which they have to decide. We can always give example of our country, but we can't force this down. And as Ambassador Sood has said, those of the Western powers which talk about the human rights are the ones which violate them with impunity. But when it comes to lecturing, they go absolutely whole hog. So we will tackle this Taliban engagement, I think, in a very systematic fashion and a very mature fashion. We have got a people-to-people connection, which of course requires to be enhanced. And of course, the visas, as we have talked about, and that we will do. And whatever they require, we will see as to whether it is feasible. And we will not declare like their DG ISI in 2021 that
Yes.
they have got a victory. It's an engagement with a neighbor. It's an important neighbor which has got its own peculiar ethos, and they are they are doing it in their own way. We'll try and influence it. There are so many projects in that country, which I have seen, and I think Ambassador Sood has seen, which we have
Yes.
helped, and we have continued to do that. And you must remember also that we have continued to give them humanitarian aid, irrespective of
Yes.
our relationship with Taliban. For example, wheat, the biscuits, to the children, the medicines, our doctors. So we have continued with our, what do you call, relationship in a very calibrated fashion. We have not tried to milk it, but definitely
Yes.
we would require that their territory is not used by the terrorists who are against our interests. And
And
that I think we are doing. How this relationship progresses, I think it depends on many factors. And we also are very clear that it may not happen tomorrow, but it will
yes.
happen very gradually. So there will be no celebration as it is. It's a neighbor, it's a close
Yeah,
neighbor.
absolutely.
We've got
And Michael
civilization.
Kugelman, how do you see this information that's coming in about ISKP being helped by Pakistan's ISI along with Lashkar-e-Taiba to counter Taliban in Afghanistan? Does this mean that there'll be more tension along the Af-Pak border, along the Durand Line?
I think so because the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, there is a
Okay.
trouble, and that is
Yes.
something which is required to be sorted out by the Pakistanis themselves.
Which
You see,
clearly they will only escalate that. But can I just quickly get Michael Kugelman also to
uh,
respond to that? Michael Kugelman?
Yeah, I don't know about this allegation of this allegation that's been noted. I mean, I think that Pakistan has enough problems on its hands with the Taliban issue, and now there's increasing buzz that in due course we could actually see some type of Pakistani military operation in Afghanistan, counterterrorism operation to target TTP, which every day Pakistani security forces are getting really hit hard on the border with Afghanistan. I think that's what
Yes.
Pakistan's focus is right now, to try to figure out how to deal with that problem. It doesn't have any solutions. And clearly, that could have pretty significant stability implications if there were to be a conflict between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
And if Pakistani military ambassador Sood was to carry out a military operation in Afghanistan against TTP, that would actually set the Durand Line on fire, would it, sir?
Well, yes, the Durand Line is a line. It is not a boundary. It is not a border. So we know that. I think insofar as symbolism is concerned, what we have to see tomorrow is what kind of a flag is used.
Yes.
Because I would be curious about what kind of a flag is used, because normally foreign ministers, they have flags when they sit across the table from each other. As this meeting will take place in Hyderabad House, there will be a flag behind them when they address a press conference, which I don't know if they will, but presumably they will. But it would be interesting to see, because we have used the flag of the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. The
Yes.
old flag, which was
The old flag.
the old flag, which became the 2001 flag after the Taliban were removed. Now, the Taliban have a different flag.
The
Now,
white colored
are
one.
we
Yeah.
going to agree to that flag being there? Will External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar stand in front of that flag when he addresses the joint press conference, if there is one? I think that
Interesting. So last
perhaps,
time I believe there was no flag for neither side. Will there be one
I
next
know.
time?
Yes, but
That's a very
this is a
interesting
foreign
take.
ministerial meeting, which is,
Yes.
so there is a different level. And we have received him as a foreign minister with all the Hyderabad House and all the whistles and bells that go with that. So I think perhaps, but then again, while I'm sure all of the media analysts will read much more into it, perhaps it will be just one more little signal.
Well,
And we'll interpret that
I'll probably
tomorrow.
have you back and we'll discuss that tomorrow. But indications are, perhaps there will be no flag either ways. Either ways, we'll be tracking that story very closely. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me.